Hello and welcome to Methuen Now, the good news program of our community. I'm your host, Michelle Houle. The annual State of the City address was held on February 19th at the Methuen Senior Activity Center. Newly elected Mayor DJ Beauregard brought residents up to date on the current city happenings. Caroline Russo has our story.
I never expected to be delivering this address this year. When we tragically and unexpectedly lost Mayor Perry last September, I was thrust into the role of acting mayor, a responsibility I likened to jumping onto a speeding train. But I embraced the challenge, driven by my commitment to our city and its people. Tonight, I am proud to report on our progress as we continue his legacy of fiscal responsibility and use of our financial stability to move Methuen forward in ways that benefit every resident.
Mayor Beauregard stood in front of Methuen residents to give his first State of the City address as mayor of Methuen. His 18-minute-long speech highlighted many achievements along with areas that need improvement. The speech began with plans to finish out one of Mayor Perry's final and perhaps proudest acts as mayor.
One of Mayor Perry's most significant achievements was initiating the purchase of the historic Searles estate. Edward Searles was one of our city's most influential figures, and his estate is a keystone of our history. By securing this property, we are making not an investment for financial gain, but ensuring that this vital piece of our city's history is preserved for generations to come. I am proud to have finalized this purchase and remain fully committed to its restoration and preservation. To that end, I have assembled a committee of experts in land use, historic preservation, finance, and city planning, along with members of the public who have offered valuable input to determine the best path forward for this cherished property in a fiscally responsible manner.
Mayor Beauregard addressed major issues within the Methuen School Department that have been at the forefront since he took office. Self-proclaimed as Methuen's education mayor, Mayor Beauregard stands by his commitment to improve Methuen's school department for all.
As a parent, the quality and condition of our city's schools is one of my biggest concerns. Accordingly, the state of Methuen schools has been a top priority since I took office. Our students and educators deserve safe and clean learning environments. We've launched a deep cleaning initiative, and by most accounts, our approach is working. Before the holiday break, our city made headlines for all the wrong reasons when city health inspections of the Timony Grammar School exposed a horrific rodent infestation that had been festering for a long time. I exercised my emergency powers in partnership with our CAFO, Maggie Dupre, to expand rodent control efforts and deep clean the building. Since then, our custodial staff has worked hard to maintain the progress we achieved. I am pleased to report that rodent sightings in that building have plummeted. I will not stop until every school in our city is where it needs to be in terms of basic cleanliness. I will continue advocating for fair and competitive compensation for our teachers and paraprofessionals to attract and retain the best educators for our students. Methuen's educators dedicate themselves every day to shaping a brighter future for our city students. It's our responsibility to stand with them and ensure they have the support they need. I'm grateful for the partnership of Dr. Kwong and her team, and I'm optimistic about our recent tentative agreement with the Methuen Education Association.
Methuen has not been immune to the rising costs of food, energy, and housing. While there is no immediate solution, Methuen is focused on helping Methuen's most affected residents.
But a thriving local economy isn't just about business growth. It's also about ensuring people have access to affordable housing. We're seeing progress with an increase in downtown housing developments and a major mixed-use project in the works on Osgood Street, which will bring 80 housing units, including affordable options, alongside commercial space. Additionally, we are seeking City Council approval for a housing production plan developed with the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission and finalizing zoning expansions to allow accessory dwelling units, helping to alleviate the regional housing shortage. Building a stronger Methuen also means ensuring our residents have access to quality health care. That's not possible without a thriving community hospital. I'm grateful for the leadership of Mayor Perry and our state delegation in fighting to save Holy Family Hospital amid the Steward healthcare crisis. Despite our progress, we cannot ignore the challenges we still face. Every Tuesday, I look out the window at City Hall and see the line of cars stretching down Pleasant Street as residents experiencing food insecurity seek support from the First Church Congregational Food Pantry. Our community outreach workers are inundated with calls for help, whether for housing, utilities, healthcare, or mental health support. The mental health crisis that escalated during the pandemic is still very real today. We must do more. That's why we are on the verge of signing a contract with the provider matching service that will connect residents with critical mental health and social services.
Mayor Beauregard rounded out his address with the announcements of a new website tool to improve city transparency.
We made significant strides in ensuring Methuen's local government is more transparent and accountable to the people. As a city councilor, I was proud to collaborate with Methuen's own state auditor, Diana DiZoglio, to draft legislation banning the use of taxpayer-funded non-disclosure agreements in our city. Now, working alongside our Chief Information Officer, Luis Santiago, and our CAFO, we're launching a cutting-edge financial transparency dashboard on the city website. With this new innovative tool, the taxpayers of Methuen will have real-time access to revenues, expenditures, and public payroll data for the first time in our city's history. This marks a major leap forward in our collective commitment to open and accountable governance.
If you'd like to watch Mayor Beauregard's State of the City address in its entirety, you can watch right here on Methuen Community Studios. Reporting from Methuen Now, I'm Carol Ann Russo.
The city of Methuen always has something happening, but what actually runs the city is the charter. It is the rules and regulations of how decisions are made and how the future can look. A committee has been reviewing this document to study the past and lead to the future. Karen Hayden has our story.
The city of Methuen has its own constitution, the laws and rules that govern how business is conducted, known as the charter. A group of citizens have been tasked with reviewing this charter. Chair Steve Saba explains.
I think that what jumps out the most is the poorly written charter, which leaves a lot of ambiguity. So when you have a problem, it's how do we interpret it? So we have to use our experiences to eliminate that as much as possible. More importantly, since I became a city councilor in 2018, we dealt with so many one-time issues. For instance, the school department overrun, which by law cannot happen. The police department contract. We had COVID. We had a mayor, who was sick and out of office for an extended period, and then a mayor who unfortunately passed away, and then the process of replacing the mayor, and then the process of replacing the councilor who became the mayor. So there were other issues too. We had a breach of security at one point. I thought it's important that with all of those items in mind, how do we adjust the charter to account for those issues so that in the future there's a clear path?
If somebody is on a board or a commission for more than 10 years and the mayor, under their authority, has the right to reappoint them, the only thing that rule does, he just has to say this person has been serving for 10 years. That gives the council the opportunity to say to the mayor, is there somebody else, nobody else wants to serve, to give somebody else a chance, or this person has so much knowledge, we're lucky to have them. It just gives a chance for back and forth. The council can override that 10-year, which they have done, and allow that person to serve.
This 37-page document has not been amended since 1999, when term limits were adopted. It's a long process, as Saba explains.
There'll be all new politicians and all new issues. So what we want to do is make sure that we are rewriting the charter for the future. We've got two former mayors. They look at it from a different point of view. We've got two former councilors who are both chairs of the council. We're looking at it to protect that side of it. We have the business manager from the school department on there, and we've got two other residents who are very knowledgeable, very intelligent, and the idea here is that we're looking at this charter from every direction. And then we're discussing every article, every chapter, every section in detail, and how can we make this clearer. And then once that's done, we're going to have a public hearing, and we will post on the website the amended charter so the residents can see it. We'll have a public hearing, and then we're going to review it a second time, and then again have a public hearing. Then we want to send it out to a consultant in the state that will then review it for legality, et cetera. Then we'll come back and we will consider any recommended changes that they make, and then we will present the final version to the city council for approval. And then what happens at that point is the city council has the right to approve or reject it. If they approve it, it goes on to the mayor for approval. Then it gets submitted into the state, and the state will review it and have to approve it. And if that all happens, then it can go out to the voters for final approval. I hope at the end of the process, this is the third attempt at updating the charter, so we're all very hopeful that the third is the charm and that we're going to get this approved.
Residents are encouraged to go on cityofmethuen.net to review the agendas and minutes from the Charter Review Committee. To see the meetings, residents can watch on Comcast 8, Fios 32, or go to MethuenTV.org for streaming. Residents can watch meetings anytime by choosing on-demand government meetings and selecting the appropriate category. SEBA encourages residents to participate.
It's really important that the residents get involved in this process. Come to the meetings. Every meeting that we have is, there's a section for public participation. So, when people don't understand a part of the charter, or they want to know why there's a certain section in there, there's an opportunity for the residents to come in and ask those questions, or to ask us to review more, or ask us to consider making a change to the charter. We're not putting time limits. Just come in and just talk to us, tell us your concerns, because again, we want to make sure we get this right. And the charter protects the residents. It protects the residents and the voters and the taxpayers. So we'd like the residents to be more involved in it. And this is the time to do it.
This is Karen Hayden reporting for Methuen Now.
March is Fraud Prevention Month. Detective Larry May from the Methuen Police Department sat down with the hosts of Behind the Blue Lens to talk about how not to become a victim. Caroline Russo has this story.
Chances are you or someone you know has been a victim of fraud. With advancements in AI, technology scams are getting more and more sophisticated every day, making it harder to determine which phone call, email, or text is real.
This gives a synopsis of the type of scams throughout the country and the dollar amount associated. The thing to keep in mind when you look at this, the total amount lost nationwide, according to this slide, is about $3 billion. This is with only 10% of the victims reporting. Fraud is one of those crimes where most people are embarrassed. They don't want to pick the phone up. They don't want to call and say they were scammed. So about 90% of the actual fraud goes unreported. So when you look at these numbers, the $3 billion, we're probably looking close to $50 billion in the United States scammed out of people.
Education is key when preventing fraud. Detective Larry May from the Methuen Police Department hopes that giving Methuen residents the knowledge of what to do when you get those phone calls or emails will prevent them from losing upwards of thousands of dollars a year.
The IRS won't call you. Most government agencies won't call you.
Right. It's all via mail.
Yes, but even the mail. You get something from the IRS in the mail, and it's got an 800 number or a website to contact them on. Be leery of it.
Of course.
Again, go online, look up the number of the IRS and call that number.
Right.
Because these scammers will send you things to your house. They're good. Whether it's through an email, a telephone call, a text, and you think it's legitimate and they're asking you for something.
Yeah.
Could be money, could be a gift card, could be information. Call them. Call them on a number that you know to be their phone number.
Right.
Don't converse back and forth via text or email. Maybe their text and emails have been compromised. But call them on the phone.
Yeah.
That's probably the number one way to find out whether or not you're being scammed or not. AI is huge. What they do now is you've gotten those phone calls where It's an unknown caller. You go, hello, and they'll ask you a question. They just want you to give one-word responses, and they record those. You only need about 4 words from a person in order to copy their voice with AI. And you can go on a computer, type a whole conversation out, and call somebody, and it'll read that conversation in that person's voice. Just to give people an example of how deceptive these people are. They called a gentleman up and said the person on the other end sounded just like his grandson. His grandson was away in Florida. He knew this because he goes onto Facebook and his grandson was posting a lot of pictures, so he knew he was in Florida. The scammers knew the kid was in Florida.
Oh, good grief.
Because they're going on looking at all this information these young people share online now, which is, parents need to understand this. You've got to watch what your kids are doing online, because if they're sharing all this information, God knows who has it. But the scammers saw that the grandson was in Florida, called the grandfather up, using his voice through AI, basically told his grandfather he had been involved in a car crash. He needed money for bail because he hit a woman.
That's sick.
The man sent them the money. No questions asked. I tell you, it's crazy, but that's where your kid calls you. You see on your phone your kid's calling you and say, hey, I've been in a bad car accident, I need money, I need whatever the case may be. Hang up briefly and call them right back, because they can spoof the number coming into your phone, but the number you dial goes to the person that's supposed to be going to. It's not going to go to the scammer.
Right.
So that's probably the tidbit I give to everybody. Question everything, and always call back with a number that you know to be accurate, not one that was provided to you by the so-called scammer or whoever else is on the other end of the line looking for something.
Yeah.
We all have ATM cards, cash cards. It's the next thing I'm going to tell people about is when we go to use those at the supermarket or the ATM, there's 3 different ways you can use those. You can insert it into the machine and it uses your chip. You can swipe it, or you can tap it. You can just touch the screen with it. I urge everybody, anyone watching this show right now, call your bank up, your financial institutions. If you don't have a card that is programmed to just do tap right now, ask them to send you one, and they will do it free of charge. Right now, the scammers have not figured out how to gather the information off of those.
Oh, too bad.
Exactly. But the chip one, which was supposed to be a solution to the swipe, they've cracked that already, and now they can get the information off those. Like I said, call your bank, financial institution. They'll send you one for free. Always tap it. And if the institution doesn't offer the tap function, go somewhere else.
The Methuen Police Department urges all Methuen residents to remain vigilant when it comes to getting scammed. If there's ever any question, residents are encouraged to reach out to the Methuen Police Department on their non-emergency line.
You should never be embarrassed to call the police.
No, of course not.
You know, it takes 2 minutes. Give us a call. We're there 24 hours a day. You know, say, I think I might be scammed. Can you help me out? I tell people, no matter how hard we try, no matter how much education we've had, the chance of being scammed is great.
Yeah. It
could happen, no matter how hard we're trying to avoid it. But you have to, if anyone ever asks you, I don't care who it is, if they ever ask you to pay in cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, they ever ask you to pay in gift cards or through a cash app or a courier, those 4 things, it is absolutely a scam.
Reporting from Methuen Now, I'm Carol Ann Russo.
Don't throw out those old blankets and towels. Recycle them and help the city earn some cash. Carol Ann Russo tells us more.
In November of 2022, Massachusetts officially banned the disposal of textiles and trash to promote recycling and reuse. With spring cleaning season just around the corner, you may be wondering just how to get rid of all those old clothes and blankets sitting in the closet. Well, Methuen is rolling out a new curbside program that will turn your rags into riches.
The city has partnered with Planet Aid to launch a textile recycling program that will provide residents with a convenient, no-cost option for recycling textiles through a new curbside collection service. This will be available to all residents in our city, and the program will begin on Saturday, March 1st. Residents can schedule a free pickup by visiting the city website or by calling 508-893-0644. Pickups will take place on the first and third Saturdays of each month, and residents are simply asked to make a scheduled pickup online or through that number at least 2 days in advance. Items should be placed curbside in plastic bags by 8 a.m. on the scheduled pickup day. Acceptable items for collection will include clothing such as men's, women's, and children's apparel, outerwear such as coats and jackets, accessories like shoes, sneakers, purses, hats, belts, and ties, and additional miscellaneous items such as backpacks, sleeping bags, bedding, towels, small toys, stuffed animals, and even DVDs. In addition to reducing waste, the agreement I signed will generate revenue for the city. Planet Aid will pay the city 9 cents per pound of collected textiles, turning waste reduction into a financial benefit for our community.
We have reduced our trash by 25% in the last 3 years. We've gone from 20,000 tons collected. We have one of the highest per household, trash per household of any community in eastern Massachusetts. We've actually been able to cut that significantly by more than 5,000 tons. So we had more than 20,000 tons in 2021, and last year, 2024, we had 15,000 tons of trash collected. And our recycling rate has doubled from 10-11% to over 20%. So we've seen progress in that, and we think by making textiles represent about 5% of what people throw out, according to the state. And so if we can get more of those textiles into some recycling reuse program, that can also have an impact on our trash tonnage.
Mattresses and box springs were also part of the ban, but are not accepted through the Planet Aid program. Methuen hosts alternative ways to recycle those items.
We have had a mattress recycling program. We recycled 2,306 mattresses in 2024 for that. That's quite a few mattresses were recycled through our vendor UTech. We take those at the transfer station. We have a container, but the best way to do it is to schedule through UTech directly, which is the vendor that for the city collection, and they do collections. It's the first and third Tuesday of the month, so you can get those picked up, and that's really the best rate. Is $40 for mattress and $20 for a box spring for pickup. Seniors, of course, if you're over 62, you actually get free pickup, but that is not through UTech, that's through our DPW. You have to contact DPW. That's on the mattress recycling.
For information on this and other waste management programs within the city, visit Methuen.gov. Reporting from Methuen Now, I'm Carol Ann Russo.
The days are getting longer, and so are the hours at the Senior Center. So put a spring in your step and hop on down to find out more about these new activities. This spring, the Methuen Senior Activity Center will be bringing back their Sunset Senior Seminar Series. Every Thursday beginning March 6th and running through May 1st, the center will offer extended hours and will remain open until 7 p.m. During these hours, special programs will be offered. Kicking off the evening will be the introduction of their new Intergenerational Superheroes and Seniors program. In this program, seniors will be able to connect with children and build meaningful connections with them. Together, they will learn new skills, make new friends, and have lots of fun. The center will also be hosting a series of evening workshops and talks that focus on all things aging. Attendees will take away valuable information to help with their everyday life and plan for the future. During the extended hours, the Senior Center will also be open for socialization, card games, billiards, services, and personal fitness. Registration is required for most events and can be done by calling the Methuen Senior Activity Center at 978-983-8825. Congratulations to Isaiah Andino, guard and team captain for the Methuen Rangers boys basketball team.
Yeah, Clemente's going to give it to Andino. Here we go. This would be perfect right here. He's saying, three's up. That's good! 1,000 points!
At the buzzer!
At the buzzer. Wow, what a moment.
What a half by Isaiah Andino.
Look at him, he's getting tackled. Wow.
Can you draw it up any better than that?
He is the fourth boy to hit the 1,000-point mark during his MHS career. With a game high of 33 points for Andino, The Methuen boys scored 107 against Wilburn's 56, sending them to the Division I state tourney. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Methuen Now. We hope you've enjoyed our program and will join us again next time for more stories about your community. For the Methuen Now team, I'm Michelle Houle. See you around.